Yeah, so I can speak maybe for Europe. I think we were surprised actually by the speed of uptake in oncology. So oncologists embraced biosimilars very, very rapidly. And I think this may be linked to an understanding of oncologists that they're struggling to get payers or insurers to reimburse other expensive innovation, because most of the innovation is in oncology, and there are restrictions, at least in Europe, on this. So maybe this economic understanding, drove them to really have a high degree of trust. The oncologists also said that they saw the positive experience with infliximab, obviously not used in oncology, and they were convinced that this was the way forward. So I do think that this is making advances. I think where some challenges still occur is stimulating competition in community pharmacy or retail distribution of biosimilars is a little bit more complex. It's not that much more complex. You just have to look at how the benefit sharing models fit into that kind of context, and you can work out a very similar approach to stimulate competition. At least that's for Europe. It's usually because the benefit sharing policies are not in place in the community pharmacy setting yet.
In the United States, I think we've finally seen the biosimilars market begin to take off. It was fairly stagnant for some time. But one of the real challenges that still exists in the US biosimilar market relates to patent thickets and the increased use of innovative or biologic producers and leveraging as many patents as possible to forestall the competition from biosimilars. Take example, Keytruda. There's a study by IMAC that recently came out where they showed that Merck had filed 129 patent applications in the US for Keytruda, and he granted 86 patents. Now, the challenge there is, in a sense, if you're a biosimilar producer, you have to feel confident that you're going to get, if you litigate those patents, that you're going to be 100% successful. And for the originator company, for the biologic producer, they just have to be successful on one of those patents to forestall that market entry. So it still is a very challenging environment for bringing biosimilar competition into the United States, but we're seeing the trajectory is definitely improving, and you're seeing greater comfort level in the prescribers, but through the physicians. And so we expect, and I think people are predicting, that market in the US to finally begin to take off.
I will talk more from the India's development point of view, because Indian industry has played a very important role in generic industry. Many of the companies are taking a lead in the development of biosimilars. The investments are high in development of biosimilars, and critical area is the clarity on the pathway for approvals. That will become very, very important. And second realization which has to be there is, it is not only the cost. Overall education in biosimilars is very, very important. The reach to the doctors, education, awareness. Because if we start looking only at the cost part of biosimilars, that will not help to build the market. Because reach also requires education. Reach requires awareness. And that is the role which has to be recognized of the generic and biosimilar industry. Because again, the patient, just by launching the product, it will not make the difference. The role which this industry plays, which Adrian highlighted and Jonathan highlighted, that creating awareness for biosimilars, that will be very, very important.